My child, something has already shifted around your life, and if you ignore this moment, you may miss the very thing you have been praying for without even realizing it. I need you to stop scrolling, silence every distraction around you, and stay with me until the end, because this message is not reaching you by accident. You have been sensing it lately in quiet moments, that strange feeling that your current season is ending and something bigger is beginning to move beneath the surface of your life. What you are about to hear will explain why certain doors closed, why your spirit has felt restless, and why you can no longer remain where you used to feel comfortable. So listen carefully. Do not walk away halfway through this message, because what happens next in your life may depend on what you choose to do after hearing these words today. My child, I know you think you simply came across these words during an ordinary moment, but I need you to understand that I brought you here for a reason. There are times when I move quietly in your life before you fully recognize what I am doing. This is one of those times. Something has already started shifting around you, even if you cannot explain it yet. You have been feeling it in small ways lately. Certain things no longer bring you the comfort they once did. Some conversations leave you feeling distant instead of connected. You have tried to ignore that feeling, but deep inside, you know something is changing. You keep wondering why your heart feels unsettled even when everything around you looks normal on the surface. What you are feeling is not failure, and it is not confusion the way you think it is. I have been preparing you for movement. There are parts of your life you were never meant to stay attached to forever. Some places were only temporary. Some seasons were only meant to teach you, not hold you permanently. That is why things have started feeling uncomfortable. I allow discomfort when it is time for growth, because comfort can sometimes keep you trapped longer than pain ever could. You have spent a long time trying to hold everything together. You kept telling yourself that if you stayed patient long enough, things would eventually feel the same again. But your spirit already knows you cannot go back to who you were before. I have been changing your heart quietly. I have been loosening your grip on things that no longer belong in your future. That does not mean I abandon you. It means I love you enough not to leave you stuck in a place that can no longer grow you. There were moments recently when you felt emotionally tired without fully understanding why. Part of that exhaustion came from trying to carry an old version of your life into a new season that requires something different from you. I never ask you to force dead things to stay alive. Some doors close because I am protecting your future, not punishing your past. I know uncertainty makes you nervous. You want clear answers before taking new steps. But faith does not always begin with full understanding. Sometimes it begins with trust. I need you to trust that I can see what you cannot. When you were worrying that nothing was happening, I was already arranging things behind the scenes. Not every blessing arrives loudly. Some begin as quiet shifts inside your heart long before your circumstances catch up. You are not lost, my child. You are being guided more carefully than you realize. Something big has already started moving around your life, and this moment right here is part of that beginning. My child, I need you to stop looking at your life as if nothing important is happening just because you cannot see immediate results. Some changes arrive slowly, like the first light before sunrise, but there are also moments when everything shifts without warning. You are closer to one of those moments than you realize. I know you have grown tired of waiting. You have carried prayers in your heart for so long that part of you quietly started wondering whether anything would ever truly change. Still, I have not forgotten a single thing you placed before me. You have been living in a season where it felt like you were standing still while everyone else moved ahead. That feeling weighed heavily on you. You smiled through conversations while privately questioning your direction. You kept trying to convince yourself to stay hopeful, but disappointment has a way of making the future feel smaller than it really is. I saw every silent battle inside you. I watched you wrestle with discouragement while trying not to let anyone notice how emotionally drained you had become. Listen carefully now. Do not allow temporary silence to convince you that I am absent. I work in ways your eyes cannot always follow. While you worried about closed doors, I was already preparing new ones. While you mourned delays, I was protecting you from stepping into places that would have broken your spirit later. You have been asking me to move, but I first needed to remove certain things from your path that could not come with you into your next season. Take a deep breath and let your heart settle for a moment. Stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios inside your mind. Stop assuming that your best days are behind you. I need you to loosen your grip on fear because fear keeps trying to convince you that change automatically means loss. But not every ending is destruction. Some endings are relocation. Some endings are rescue. Some endings are my way of carrying you away from places where your soul slowly started suffocating. You have noticed recently that your tolerance for certain things has changed. Situations you once accepted now leave you emotionally exhausted. That is not weakness. That is growth. Your spirit is reacting differently because I am preparing you for a different environment. You cannot step into new territory while thinking like the person you used to be. So I am asking you now, open your heart instead of resisting what I am doing. Let me lead you without demanding every answer in advance. Trust me enough to move when I nudge your spirit forward. There are opportunities, connections, and moments waiting ahead of you that you cannot yet imagine. What feels uncertain today will eventually become the very thing that restores your peace again. Something is changing, my child, and this time it is not passing you by. My child, I know there were moments when you genuinely believed I had forgotten about you. You prayed, waited, hoped, and tried to stay faithful, yet nothing seemed to move the way you expected. Days turned into months, and some of your prayers became so old that you stopped mentioning them because talking about them hurt too much. You told yourself maybe it was easier not to expect anything anymore. I saw every moment when disappointment quietly settled into your heart. What you did not realize was that delay and abandonment are not the same thing. Just because something did not happen quickly does not mean I stopped working on it. I need you to understand that I see the full picture while you only see the current moment standing in front of you. There were details surrounding your life that had to be arranged carefully before certain doors could safely open for you. If I had answered some prayers too early, you would have walked into situations emotionally unprepared to handle what came with them. You often measure progress by visible movement, but many of the most important things I do happen underneath the surface first. I work inside hearts before I change circumstances. I strengthen people privately before I elevate them publicly. There were parts of you that needed healing before you stepped into what you asked me for. The healing took time because I was not interested in giving you temporary excitement while leaving deeper wounds untouched. I know waiting exhausted you. I know you became frustrated watching other people receive things you prayed for yourself. You questioned your worth more times than anyone realizes. Some nights you even wondered if your mistakes had disqualified you from the future you once believed in. But I never changed my mind about you. Not once. Your value never disappeared simply because the process became longer than you expected. Now I need you to stop speaking about your life as if the story is already over. Stop treating your current season like permanent defeat. Invite hope back into your thinking again. Let your heart breathe again. I am still moving. I am still opening things you cannot yet see. The delay was not empty space. It was preparation. It was protection. It was timing. So release the bitterness you built around unanswered prayers. Put down the heavy belief that nothing good can happen for you anymore. I am asking you to trust me beyond what your emotions currently understand. What I have been preparing for you did not disappear simply because it took longer than expected. Your future is still moving toward you even now. My child, the restlessness inside you did not appear without reason. You keep trying to calm it down, explain it away, or distract yourself from it. But your spirit recognizes something your mind is still catching up to. You are reaching the end of a season that can no longer hold who you are becoming. That is why you feel pulled in different directions lately. Part of you wants to stay where things feel predictable, but another part of you knows deep inside that you cannot keep living the same way forever. You have noticed how difficult it has become to fully settle into certain routines, conversations, and environments. Things that once felt natural now leave you emotionally drained. You walk away from situations wondering why your energy suddenly feels heavy. Listen to me carefully. That feeling is not weakness. It is awareness. I have been opening your eyes slowly. You are beginning to recognize what feeds your spirit and what quietly empties it. Do not ignore that realization. For a long time, you tolerated things because you were afraid of destruction. You stayed connected to people who no longer understood your heart. You kept carrying responsibilities that were slowly exhausting you because you thought letting go would disappoint others. But I never created you to live trapped beneath constant emotional weight. I want you to stop calling survival peace. Those are not the same thing. Come closer to me now and allow yourself to be honest. You already know there are parts of your life that feel overdue for change. Stop pushing the truth away every time it rises inside you. Sit with it. Pray through it. Invite me into it. The discomfort you feel is not there to punish you. It is there to wake you up before you spend another year forcing yourself to remain in places where your soul can no longer breathe freely. I know change feels risky to you. You keep imagining everything that could go wrong if you finally move forward. But I need you to understand that staying in the wrong place too long also carries consequences. Slowly, quietly, it steals your joy, your confidence, and your sense of purpose. That is why I have been stirring your spirit lately. I love you too much to let you become emotionally numb while pretending everything is fine. So stop fighting every internal shift you feel. Stop trying to recreate an old season that has already ended. Open your hands instead. Ask me to guide you clearly. Give me permission to lead you into unfamiliar places if that is where your healing waits. There is more ahead of you than this current chapter. You are not losing your life, my child. You are being prepared for a new one. My child, as I pull you out of old places that can no longer hold your spirit, I am also calling you to help carry this message to others who feel trapped in darkness right now. There are weary hearts scrolling through pain in silence, waiting for one word from me to remind them that their season is changing. Every super thanks, every membership, and every seed sown through the PayPal link in the description becomes oil for this assignment, pushing my light farther than you can currently see. Have I not told you? Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again. I am breathing life into every willing giver who chooses to build what heaven is blessing in this hour. Do not treat this moment casually, because what you release now will return as provision, protection, and unexpected favor over your household. I am inviting you personally to become part of the harvest I am gathering through this channel before this next season fully arrives. Sow your seed now, support this mission immediately, and let your obedience carry my word into lives that are desperate for hope. My child, I know it hurts when doors begin closing in your life, especially the ones you fought hard to keep open. You prayed over some of those relationships. You invested your time, your energy, your heart. You believed certain people, places, and plans would stay part of your future forever. That is why it confused you when things suddenly started shifting. Conversations became distant. Opportunities faded. Some connections slowly unraveled even though you tried your best to hold them together. I need you to stop seeing every closed door as rejection. Sometimes I close doors because I can see what is waiting behind them long before you can. You often ask me for blessing while still holding tightly to things that are quietly damaging your spirit. There are environments that looked comfortable but were slowly draining your peace. There are people you love deeply who could not walk with you into the next season I prepared for you. Let yourself accept that truth instead of exhausting yourself trying to force everything to stay the same. You have spent too much time blaming yourself for every ending. Not every goodbye happened because you failed. Some things ended because their assignment in your life was complete. If you keep trying to reopen doors I intentionally closed, you will delay your own healing. Release the need to chase what I already removed. Release the fear that you are losing everything important. What belongs in your future will not require you to betray your peace in order to keep it alive. I know part of you still keeps revisiting old memories, wondering if you could have fixed things differently. But listen to me carefully now. Stop standing in front of locked doors hoping they will suddenly reopen. Turn around. Look ahead. There are new paths waiting for your attention, but you cannot walk toward them while emotionally living in yesterday. This next season of your life requires space. New growth cannot happen in crowded places filled with old grief, old guilt, and old attachments. That is why I have been asking you to let go little by little. I am not emptying your life to leave you lonely. I'm making room for what truly belongs there. So breathe deeply and trust me through this transition. Stop measuring your future by what you lost. Invite me into the pain instead of hiding it behind forced strength. Let me heal the places inside you that still fear abandonment. What I am bringing toward you will not need to be forced, begged for, or endlessly rescued. You are not being left behind, my child. You are being led forward. My child, there are things you have been carrying that were never meant to travel into your future with you. Some of them are obvious to you, and some are buried so deeply inside your heart that you barely recognize how heavy they have become. I need you to stop for a moment and pay attention to what your spirit has been trying to tell you lately. You cannot step into a new season while dragging old pain, old fear, and old attachments behind you everywhere you go. At some point, you must decide whether you want comfort or freedom, because those two things do not always live in the same place. You have grown attached to certain patterns simply because they became familiar. Even some of your worries started feeling normal to you. You learned how to survive inside emotional exhaustion, and over time you stopped questioning whether you deserved something healthier. But I never designed your life around constant survival. I created you for peace, for purpose, and for growth. That is why I have been gently pulling you away from environments that keep reopening wounds I already wanted to heal. Do not ignore the way your heart reacts now when you enter certain spaces or conversations. You feel it immediately. Your spirit tightens. Your thoughts grow heavy. Your energy disappears. Those reactions are trying to teach you something. Stop forcing yourself to remain connected to places that constantly drain the life out of you. Listen carefully to what your inner peace is telling you. I speak through that more often than you realize. I know letting go scares you because you worry about what comes after. You keep asking yourself whether you will regret walking away from things that once mattered deeply to you. But look honestly at your life. Some of what you are fighting to keep is already fading. You feel it. You know it. You are simply afraid to admit it because endings make you uncomfortable. Still, avoiding truth did not stop change from happening. So come closer to me now instead of clinging to what is slipping away. Invite me into the parts of your heart that still resist change. Let me untangle the emotional weight you were never supposed to carry alone. Stop trying to save everything. Stop trying to fix every broken connection with your own strength. Some things need to end so your life can finally breathe again. I am not taking things away to leave you empty, my child. I am creating room. Room for healthy relationships. Room for deeper peace. Room for the version of you that has been buried beneath stress and disappointment for far too long. Trust me enough to loosen your grip. What I am leading you toward will not require you to abandon yourself in order to keep it. My child, I know you spent a long time wondering why certain things suddenly stopped working in your life. Plans fell apart. Opportunities disappeared. Some relationships slowly unraveled no matter how much effort you gave them. You prayed, adjusted, waited, and tried again, yet the same frustration kept meeting you at every turn. Part of you quietly started believing I was against you. You wondered whether you had disappointed me somehow. But listen to me carefully now. I was not punishing you. I was protecting you from continuing down paths that no longer carried life for you. You were trying to force growth in places where your spirit had already outgrown the environment. You kept asking me to restore things that were slowly draining your peace because familiarity felt safer than uncertainty. I understand why you held on so tightly. You invested your emotions there. You built hopes around those people, those plans, those expectations. Walking away felt like losing a piece of yourself. But keeping dead things alive was exhausting you more than you realized. I need you to stop blaming yourself for every closed door. Some doors closed because I removed my hand from situations that were quietly damaging your future. There are connections that looked harmless on the surface but slowly weakened your confidence, your joy, and your sense of direction. You could not fully see the effect because the damage happened little by little, like a slow leak inside a house that no one notices until the foundation begins cracking. Come sit with me honestly for a moment. You already know there were places where you kept shrinking yourself just to maintain peace. You stayed silent about your pain because you feared conflict. You tolerated emotional confusion because you did not want to lose people. But I never asked you to betray your own spirit in order to feel accepted. That is not love. That is survival dressed up as loyalty. Stop reopening wounds by revisiting everything that fell apart. Stop treating every disappointment as proof that your future is ruined. Some losses are rescue missions in disguise. Some interruptions are mercy. I know it hurt when things changed unexpectedly, but I also know what would have happened if they never changed at all. So release the belief that your life is collapsing. Invite me into your disappointment instead of carrying it alone. Let me show you what healthy peace actually feels like. The reason certain things stopped working is because I was guiding you away from environments that could no longer support the future I prepared for you. You are not abandoned, my child. You are being redirected with love. My child, you keep asking me to show you the full picture before you move forward, but I need you to understand something honestly. Clarity is not always the first step. Sometimes willingness comes before understanding. You have spent so much time waiting for certainty that you almost forgot how to trust me without controlling every outcome. I know why you do it. You have been disappointed before. You gave your heart to plans that collapsed. You trusted people who changed unexpectedly. After enough heartbreak, your mind started believing that if you could predict everything ahead of time, you could protect yourself from pain. But look at what that fear has done to you. It made you cautious about every opportunity. It taught you to hesitate even when your spirit quietly felt calm toward something new. You kept standing at the edge of change asking me for 10 more signs, one more confirmation, one more guarantee that nothing would go wrong. Meanwhile, your soul has been growing restless because deep inside, you already sense that I am asking you to move. Come closer and listen carefully now. You do not need every detail before taking the next step I place in front of you. If I revealed your entire future at once, fear would still try to talk you out of it. Your healing was never meant to depend on perfect certainty. It was meant to grow through trust. That is why I have been teaching you slowly, quietly, patiently. I have been loosening your dependence on visible proof so your heart can learn how to follow me even when the path feels unfamiliar. You keep calling yourself stuck, but part of what you are experiencing comes from resisting movement because it feels uncomfortable. I need you to stop asking whether you are ready enough. Start asking whether you are willing. Those are not the same thing. Many people wait their entire lives trying to feel fully prepared before stepping into new seasons. But growth rarely arrives wrapped in comfort. So stop staring at the entire staircase when I only ask you to take the next step. Breathe. Release the pressure to figure everything out tonight. Invite me into your uncertainty instead of hiding behind it. You are not supposed to carry tomorrow all at once. Let me guide you one moment at a time. I know you fear making mistakes, but I am capable of redirecting you even when your steps are imperfect. What matters now is your willingness to trust me beyond your fear. Open your hands. Stop gripping control so tightly. There is movement waiting for you, my child, but you must become willing to walk before you can fully see where the road leads. My child, your willingness to move when you cannot yet see the full road is exactly how faith begins to breathe again. That same willingness is what I am asking from those I have appointed to help spread this message across the earth before more souls lose hope in the waiting season. Some of you have prayed for purpose while watching this video, and I am answering you now through your obedience. Every super thanks, every membership, and every gift sent through the PayPal link in the description becomes a river carrying my word into places your hands alone could never reach. Did I not say, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over"? I am watching who responds quickly when I whisper to their spirit, because generosity in this season is tied to movement, breakthrough, and doors opening unexpectedly. Stop waiting for perfect certainty before obeying what I am placing on your heart right now. Step forward immediately, sow into this mission today, and trust me to multiply what you release in faith. My child, there is a reason life has been stretching you lately. The pressure you have felt was not meaningless. I have been strengthening parts of you that comfort could never develop. You keep looking at yourself through the lens of your current exhaustion, but I see someone far stronger than you realize. There is courage inside you that has not fully awakened yet because it was buried beneath fear, disappointment, and years of doubting your own ability to handle change. You have spent so much time underestimating yourself. Every time something difficult happened, your first instinct was to question whether you were capable of surviving it. Yet look at you now. You are still here. You are still standing after battles that once made you think you would completely fall apart. Do not ignore the truth. The very fact that you survived seasons you thought would destroy you is proof that I have been building strength inside you all along. I need you to stop speaking over your future with defeated thinking. Stop assuming that because something feels unfamiliar, it automatically means you will fail. The next chapter of your life will ask you to make decisions that stretch your comfort zone. It will ask you to leave certain fears behind. It will require honesty, faith, and boldness in areas where you once stayed silent. That is why I have been preparing your heart gradually instead of suddenly throwing you into what comes next. Listen carefully now, and let these words settle inside you. Courage does not mean you stop feeling nervous. It means you stop allowing fear to make your decisions for you. There were moments when you stayed in painful situations simply because the unknown frightened you more than the discomfort you already understood. But I am calling you higher than that now. I do not want you living trapped inside a life built entirely around emotional safety. So stand up emotionally, my child. Stop shrinking every time uncertainty appears in front of you. Invite me into your fear instead of letting fear isolate you. Let me remind you who you are becoming. The future ahead of you is not waiting for a perfect version of you. It is waiting for a willing one. You do not need to force confidence you do not feel yet. Just stay close to me while you move forward. I will strengthen you step by step. I will steady you in moments where your emotions shake. You are not walking into your future alone. And when the moment finally arrives for you to step through the next open door, you will realize the courage you thought you lacked was already growing inside you the entire time. My child, I know how tightly you hold on to what feels familiar. Even when something no longer brings you peace, part of you still wants to keep it nearby because at least it is known to you. Familiar pain can sometimes feel safer than unfamiliar freedom. That is one of the hardest truths for you to accept. You have stayed connected to old routines, old thinking, and old emotional patterns simply because they became predictable. Yet every time I try to guide you forward, fear keeps whispering that staying where you are is somehow safer than trusting where I am leading you. But look honestly at what this fear has been doing to your heart. You have been exhausted trying to preserve things that already feel empty inside. You keep returning to places that no longer nourish your spirit, hoping they will suddenly feel alive again. You replay old memories. You revisit old disappointments. You keep touching emotional bruises that I have been trying to heal. My child, come closer and hear me clearly now. You cannot step into a new season while emotionally camping inside an old one. I need you to stop romanticizing what was never truly healthy for you. Some situations only felt secure because they were familiar, not because they were good for your soul. There were places where your joy slowly disappeared while you kept convincing yourself to stay patient. There were relationships where you became smaller just to avoid conflict. There were seasons where survival replaced peace, and eventually you stopped recognizing the difference. Open your heart to me now instead of gripping the past so tightly. Let me show you that release is not the same thing as failure. Sometimes letting go is an act of trust. Sometimes walking away is the first step toward healing. I know you are afraid that if you release certain things, nothing better will come. But that fear is keeping you chained to environments that no longer match who you are becoming. Stop asking old doors to give you new life. Stop trying to revive what I already called finished. You do not need to force yourself backward simply because forward feels unfamiliar. Take my hand and let me lead you one step at a time. You are not losing your identity. You are discovering it more honestly than before. The future I prepared for you will require space in your heart, your mind, and your life. That space cannot exist while you are still crowded by everything you are afraid to release. Trust me enough to loosen your grip. You do not have to carry expired seasons into your next chapter. My child, there are things I have prepared for you that cannot fully reach your life while you remain standing still. I know you keep waiting for certainty before taking action, but movement is part of the process. You have spent so much time asking me for open doors while quietly resisting the changes required to walk through them. Deep inside, you already know there are decisions you have been avoiding. There are conversations you need to have, habits you need to leave behind, and steps you need to take even though they make you uncomfortable. You keep hoping everything will change around you while you remain emotionally in the same place. But growth does not happen that way. Healing does not happen that way either. At some point, you must become willing to move differently if you want your life to become different. I am not asking you to rush recklessly into uncertainty. I am not asking you to I am asking you to stop using fear as a permanent home. Listen carefully to what I am saying now. Some blessings only become visible after obedience begins. Some answers arrive while you are already walking forward. If you wait to feel fearless before moving, you will stay trapped in hesitation far longer than necessary. Fear has already stolen enough time from your life. Do not let it continue deciding your future. I know why movement feels difficult for you. You are tired. You have been disappointed before. Every setback made you more cautious, and eventually caution slowly became paralysis. You stopped trusting yourself. You stopped trusting opportunities. Sometimes you even question whether you could trust me fully because life hurt you in places you did not expect. But I have not abandoned you, my child. Even in your uncertainty, I have stayed close beside you. So take a breath and stop staring only at what could go wrong. Lift your eyes higher than your fear for a moment. Invite me into your decisions instead of carrying all the pressure alone. Let me guide your steps instead of demanding the entire map upfront. You are not expected to control every outcome. You are simply being asked to trust me enough to move when I nudge your heart forward. There is peace waiting ahead of you that you have not experienced yet. There are connections, opportunities, and moments of healing that cannot fully unfold while you remain emotionally frozen in old fear. Stand up internally now. Shake off the belief that your life has already peaked. Something beautiful is waiting on the other side of your willingness to move. My child, part of your exhaustion comes from trying to hold together a version of your life that no longer fits who you are becoming. You keep revisiting old expectations, old timelines, and old dreams exactly as you once imagined them, even though deep inside you already sense that something has changed. I need you to stop fighting that realization. Some chapters cannot be reopened simply because you miss them. Some seasons end quietly, and when they do, you must allow yourself to grieve honestly instead of pretending nothing changed. You have spent so much emotional energy trying to recreate feelings that belong to another season of your life. You keep comparing your present to memories that now feel safer because they are familiar. But listen carefully to me now. Your future cannot grow while your heart remains chained to what used to be. You cannot keep carrying expired expectations and still expect your spirit to feel light. I know this has been difficult for you because there were things you truly believed would last forever. You built emotional homes around certain people, plans, and hopes. When those things changed, it felt as though part of your identity changed with them. That loss confused you more than you admitted out loud. Some days you smiled in front of others while privately wondering where the old version of yourself disappeared. But my child, you are not disappearing. You are evolving through pain you did not fully choose. Come sit with me honestly for a moment instead of running from your emotions. Let yourself admit that some things ended. Let yourself acknowledge the disappointment without drowning inside it. Healing cannot happen while you keep pretending your heart is unaffected. Invite me into those hidden places you rarely show anyone. I already see them anyway. You keep trying to revive what no longer carries life because part of you fears that releasing the past means losing yourself completely. But letting go is not the same thing as becoming empty. Sometimes release is how I create space for restoration. Sometimes I remove old structures because they were too small for where I am leading you next. So stop punishing yourself for changing. Stop apologizing internally because your desires, priorities, and perspective are shifting. Growth often feels uncomfortable while it is happening. Trust me through this transition instead of clinging to emotional ruins that no longer provide peace. You do not need to rebuild your life around what already ended. Lift your eyes toward what is still possible. Your story did not stop here, my child. I am still writing it. My child, as you release what already ended, I am making room for something greater to rise in its place. But understand this clearly. Many people are still trapped inside old pain, old disappointment, and emotional ruins because no one has yet carried my voice into their darkness. That is why I am stirring hearts right now to help this message continue reaching the broken, the exhausted, and the forgotten. Every super thanks, every membership, and every offering through the PayPal link in the description becomes seed planted into souls standing on the edge of giving up. Have I not declared that those who sow in tears will reap with psalms of joy? I am blessing every giver who responds with obedience instead of fear, and I will cause restoration to flow into places that once felt barren. This is not just support for a video, my child. This is participation in a divine harvest unfolding in real time. Open your hand now, give without hesitation, and become part of the healing I am pouring into the lives of others today. My child, I need you to look honestly at something you have avoided confronting for a long time. Some of the things you called stability were actually fear disguised as comfort. You stayed in certain situations because they felt predictable, not because they truly brought you peace. You convinced yourself that staying emotionally safe was the same thing as living fully, but deep inside, your spirit kept longing for more. You felt it during quiet moments when your heart whispered that you were capable of a deeper life than the one you settled into. You became skilled at surviving environments that slowly drain you. You learned how to silence your own needs just to keep conflict away. You tolerated emotional heaviness because at least it was familiar. Over time, you stopped questioning whether you deserved better because disappointment trained you to expect less from life. But I never created you to simply endure your days while your spirit quietly faded in the background. Listen closely to what I am saying now. Peace and numbness are not the same thing. You became so used to carrying emotional weight that you started calling exhaustion normal. That is one reason I have been disrupting certain areas of your life lately. I needed to shake you awake before you spent another season trapped inside routines that looked stable outwardly but left your soul starving inwardly. I know change frightens you because uncertainty feels risky. You worry about making the wrong decision. You worry about leaving behind what is familiar only to discover something harder ahead. But staying trapped in fear also costs you something. It slowly steals your confidence. It limits your growth. It convinces you to settle for less than the life I intended for you. So stop asking yourself whether remaining stuck is easier. Ask yourself whether remaining stuck is truly living. Invite me into the places where fear still controls your decisions. Let me untangle the beliefs that taught you to shrink your dreams just to avoid disappointment. You are allowed to want peace that feels alive instead of merely manageable. Take a breath now and loosen your grip on the illusion of control. You do not have to predict every outcome before trusting me with your next step. I have been guiding you carefully even during seasons when you thought you were lost. Let me show you the difference between genuine peace and emotional survival. There is more waiting for you than simply getting through another day. You were created for deeper healing, deeper joy, and a life that no longer feels trapped beneath fear. My child, I know the future feels uncertain to you right now. You keep trying to imagine what comes next, but every time you look ahead, your thoughts become crowded with questions you cannot answer. You wonder whether things will finally become lighter for you or whether another disappointment is waiting around the corner. I see those worries even when you never say them out loud. I know how exhausting it has been to carry hope and fear inside the same heart at the same time. But listen carefully to me now. Just because you cannot clearly see where you are going does not mean I am uncertain about it. I already see the place where your peace is waiting. I already know the moments ahead that will slowly restore the parts of you that became tired from carrying too much for too long. You are walking through a season that feels unfamiliar because you are between what was and what will be. That middle space can feel lonely sometimes. It can make you question yourself. It can make you wonder whether you are moving forward at all. Come closer to me instead of letting fear narrate your future. Stop filling your mind with worst-case endings before the story even unfolds. You have spent enough time expecting disappointment before good things even had the chance to arrive. I need you to loosen your grip on that habit because it keeps stealing peace from moments that have not even happened yet. You keep trying to prepare yourself emotionally for pain before pain even appears. You tell yourself it is wisdom, but much of it is fear shaped by old wounds. I understand why your heart became cautious. You survived seasons that left deep marks inside you. But do not allow past heartbreak to become the lens through which you view every future possibility. Not every chapter will hurt the way the last one did. Sit with me for a moment and breathe deeply. Let your thoughts slow down. Invite me into your uncertainty instead of wrestling with it alone. I am not asking you to pretend you have no fear. I am asking you to trust that I can lead you safely even while fear still tries to speak. Your future is not as fragile as you think it is. There are moments ahead of you that will surprise you with peace. There are conversations, opportunities, and connections already moving quietly toward your life. You do not need to chase everything anxiously. Some things are being prepared carefully for you even now. Keep walking with me. Keep your heart open. The place where your soul finally exhales again is closer than you realize. My child, you have been carrying emotional weight for so long that you almost forgot what it feels like to live without constant pressure sitting on your chest. You wake up tired even after resting. Your mind keeps running even during quiet moments. Part of you became so used to holding everything together for everyone else that you stopped noticing how exhausted you truly are. But I see it clearly. I see the silent heaviness you hide behind polite smiles and daily routines. You keep telling yourself to stay strong, but strength was never supposed to mean carrying every burden alone until your spirit starts collapsing under the pressure. Somewhere along the way, you learned to suppress your own pain because you feared becoming a problem for others. You became the listener, the helper, the dependable one. Meanwhile, your own heart quietly waited for someone to notice that you were struggling too. Come sit with me honestly now. Stop pretending you are unaffected by everything you have been through. Stop minimizing your exhaustion every time your soul asks for rest. I never asked you to become emotionally indestructible. I asked you to stay close to me. Those are not the same thing. You have carried worries that were too heavy for one heart to manage alone. You replay conversations in your mind long after they end. You try to solve problems before they even happen. You absorb the emotions of people around you until you barely recognize your own peace anymore. My child, this is not the life I wanted for you. Constant emotional survival was never meant to become your permanent normal. So breathe for a moment and loosen your shoulders. Release the pressure to hold everything together perfectly. Invite me into the chaos you keep hiding from everyone else. You do not need to impress me with strength. Bring me your honesty instead. Bring me your tiredness, your confusion, your fear, and your disappointment. I can handle what you have been trying so hard to carry alone. I know you fear falling apart if you finally slow down emotionally. But healing does not begin through endless striving. It begins when you finally allow yourself to be held instead of constantly trying to hold everything else. Let me teach your heart what rest feels like again. Let me quiet the noise inside your mind little by little. You do not have to solve your entire future tonight. You do not need every answer immediately. Stay close to me instead of drowning in pressure. I am already carrying more for you than you realize, my child, and I will not abandon you in the middle of this season. My child, I know how deeply certain words affected you. Some people spoke carelessly into your life, and even after years passed, part of you still carries the weight of what they said. You remember the moments when you felt dismissed, overlooked, or misunderstood by people whose opinions mattered to you. Sometimes it was not even open cruelty that wounded you most. Sometimes it was silence. Sometimes it was the feeling of giving your whole heart while realizing someone only understood a small piece of who you truly were. You have spent too much time allowing the opinions of wounded people to shape the way you see yourself. Every criticism became another layer of doubt. Every rejection quietly convinced you that maybe you were asking for too much, feeling too deeply, or hoping too boldly. But listen carefully to me now. The people who failed to recognize your value were never appointed to define your identity. Their inability to understand you does not reduce the worth I placed inside you. Come closer and let me speak into the places where rejection still echoes inside your thoughts. Stop replaying old conversations that continue draining your confidence. Stop measuring your future through the lens of people who only saw you through their own limitations. Some individuals misunderstood your heart because they were never capable of carrying the depth you brought into their lives. That does not make you difficult to love. It simply means not everyone is prepared to recognize what I placed within you. I know how painful it felt when people misjudge your intentions. You tried to explain yourself. You tried to earn understanding. You bent parts of your personality trying to become easier for others to accept. Meanwhile, your spirit slowly became exhausted from constantly trying to prove your worth. My child, release that burden now. You do not need to shrink yourself in order to deserve love, peace, or belonging. Sit with me honestly and allow your heart to heal from the pressure of needing everyone's approval. Some people were only temporary voices in your journey, not permanent authorities over your future. Let their opinions go. Let their misunderstandings go. Invite me into the insecurity those experiences created inside you. I need you to stop introducing yourself to life through the wounds left by rejection. You are more than the moments when others failed to see you clearly. There are people ahead who will recognize your heart without requiring you to betray yourself first. There are connections waiting for you where peace will not require performance. Keep walking with me, my child. Do not let old rejection convince you to hide the beautiful parts of yourself I created intentionally. My child, the voices that rejected you were never strong enough to cancel the purpose I placed over your life. And now I am raising up people who will no longer stay silent when my word has the power to heal wounded hearts across the nations. There are people carrying hidden rejection, secret loneliness, and silent despair who need to hear this message before hopelessness hardens their spirit completely. Every super thanks, every membership, and every seed sent through the PayPal link in the description helps keep this fire burning so my voice can continue reaching those crying out in darkness. Remember when I said, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." I am calling willing hearts to help lift this light higher in a generation overwhelmed by fear and confusion. Those who pour into my work with sincerity will not be forgotten by heaven, for I will surround them with favor, peace, and provision in unexpected ways. Do not delay when I am prompting your spirit right now. Act immediately, support this mission boldly, and help carry my healing word to the people still waiting to hear it. My child, there were moments when you felt frustrated because certain things did not work out the way you wanted. You questioned why opportunities disappeared so suddenly. You wondered why some relationships faded despite your effort. You stood in confusion when plans collapsed after you invested your time, your emotions, and your hope into them. At the time, it felt unfair to you. You thought I was withholding good things from your life. But what you could not see then was how much I was protecting you from. There are paths that look beautiful from a distance, but carried hidden exhaustion underneath them. There were people who seemed right for you while quietly carrying the ability to drain your spirit over time. There were opportunities that would have increased your stress while decreasing your peace. You kept praying for open doors, but sometimes my love protects you through closed ones. I know you did not always understand that in the moment. Come sit with me now and look back honestly at certain situations you once begged me to preserve. Some of those things would have cost you far more emotionally than you realized. You were focused on what you wanted immediately, while I could already see the long-term effect it would have on your heart. That is why certain plans unraveled despite all your effort to save them. I was not trying to hurt you. I was trying to spare you from futures that would have slowly broken your spirit in ways you could not yet recognize. You often mistake redirection for rejection because you cannot immediately see where I am leading you next. But trust me when I tell you this, not every opportunity is a blessing simply because it appears attractive at first. Some things arrive wrapped beautifully while carrying confusion, pressure, and emotional emptiness underneath the surface. I needed to pull you away before those things rooted themselves deeply into your life. So stop grieving every closed door as though it was your only chance at happiness. Stop assuming that loss automatically means punishment. Sometimes I rescue you quietly before danger ever becomes obvious. Sometimes I remove people before deeper damage forms. Sometimes I delay your plans because your peace matters more to me than your temporary excitement. Take a deep breath now and release the resentment you built around unanswered prayers. Invite me into the disappointment instead of hardening your heart around it. I know certain endings hurt deeply, but your life would look far heavier today if I had allowed everything you wanted to remain. Trust the protection you did not fully recognize at the time. I have been guarding your future more carefully than you realize. My child. My child, there were prayers you stopped speaking because too much time passed without an answer. At first, you waited with excitement. Then you waited with patience. Eventually, you waited with quiet disappointment. Some hopes became so painful to revisit that you buried them deep inside yourself just to avoid feeling hurt again. You learned how to act like you were fine while privately grieving the life you thought would have happened by now. I saw every moment when hope became difficult for you. I watched you wrestle with questions you barely admitted aloud. You wondered whether certain dreams were simply never meant for you. You compared your journey to the lives of other people and quietly asked yourself why everything seemed easier for them. Part of you became afraid to expect good things anymore because disappointment had already visited your heart too many times. But listen carefully to me now. Just because you stopped talking about those prayers does not mean I forgot them. I have been working on things beneath the surface while you assumed nothing was happening. Some answers required timing you could not yet understand. Some blessings needed preparation inside you before they could safely enter your life without destroying your peace. I know the waiting exhausted you, but do not mistake delay for absence. Come sit with me honestly for a moment and let your guarded heart soften again. Stop speaking over your future as though joy no longer belongs to you. Stop assuming that because something has not happened yet, it never will. You have allowed disappointment to become louder than hope inside your thinking, and it has made your spirit tired in ways you barely recognize anymore. I need you to invite expectation back into your heart carefully, slowly, honestly. Not a realistic fantasy, but trust. Trust that I still know what you need. Trust that I still see the desires you stopped sharing with anyone else. There are things moving toward your life right now that you cannot fully see yet. Conversations are unfolding. Doors are forming. Timing is aligning quietly behind the scenes. Do not close your heart just before healing arrives. Do not walk away emotionally moments before breakthrough begins unfolding. What I bring into your life next may not look exactly how you once imagined it, but it will carry peace in ways your old expectations never could. Stay close to me during this season. Let me rebuild your hope gently instead of forcing yourself to stay emotionally numb. Some of the prayers you almost buried forever are closer to being answered than you realize. My child, you keep trying to ignore the feeling that something inside you wants more from life than what you are currently living. You distract yourself, stay busy, and tell yourself to be grateful for what you already have, yet the restlessness still returns. It follows you during quiet moments. It rises when you are alone with your thoughts. Part of you keeps sensing that you are standing near the edge of a major shift, even though you cannot fully explain why. I need you to stop dismissing that feeling so quickly. Your spirit recognizes movement before your circumstances visibly change. You were not created to remain emotionally asleep forever. There comes a time when comfort stops feeling peaceful because your soul knows growth is calling you somewhere deeper. That is the tension you have been feeling lately. One part of you wants to stay where things are familiar. Another part already knows you cannot continue living half-awake inside routines that no longer fulfill your heart. Come closer and listen honestly now. Some of the dissatisfaction you feel is not negativity. It is invitation. I have been stirring your spirit because there are areas of your life where you settled out of fear instead of peace. You accepted emotional survival when I intended for you to experience genuine joy. You became accustomed to carrying heaviness because you forgot life could feel lighter again. I know change frightens you because you worry about what it will cost. You fear making mistakes. You fear uncertainty. You fear disappointing people who became comfortable with the version of you that stayed small. But you cannot continue shrinking yourself just to keep everyone else comfortable. Eventually your spirit begins suffocating under that pressure, and lately you have already started feeling it. So stop silencing the quiet voice inside you that keeps asking for more honesty, more peace, and more purpose. Invite me into that restlessness instead of fighting against it. Let me show you which desires are rooted in fear and which ones are invitations toward growth. Not every uncomfortable feeling should be ignored. Some are signals that your soul is preparing to move. Take a breath and stop telling yourself it is too late for your life to change. Stop believing you already missed your moment. I am still opening paths in front of you. I am still guiding your future carefully. What you are sensing right now is not random emotion. It is the beginning of awakening. Your heart is starting to recognize that the season you are entering will require a different version of you. My child, I need you to recognize how much fear has quietly shaped your decisions over the years. Not always loudly, not always obviously. Sometimes fear hid itself behind caution, overthinking, and endless waiting. You told yourself you were simply being careful, but deep inside, you often avoided movement because you were terrified of being hurt again. Every disappointment taught your heart to become more guarded. Every betrayal convinced you to trust less. Slowly, without realizing it, you began building your life around emotional protection instead of genuine peace. I understand why you became this way. Pain changes people when it stays unhealed for too long. You learned how to expect disappointment before anything even began. You rehearsed worst-case scenarios inside your mind just to prepare yourself emotionally in case things collapsed again. But my child, constantly preparing for pain is exhausting your spirit more than you realize. It has made you hesitant to fully live, fully trust, and fully hope. Come sit with me honestly now. Stop pretending that fear is keeping you safe. Some of what you call protection has actually become a prison around your heart. You keep standing at the edge of change while convincing yourself to wait a little longer, think a little harder, or gather a little more certainty first. Meanwhile, opportunities for healing keep passing by because fear always demands perfect guarantees before allowing movement. But your next season cannot grow from the same mindset that kept you emotionally stuck in the last one. If you continue making every decision based on avoiding discomfort, you will miss the very doors I have been opening in front of you. Not every unfamiliar path leads to pain. Not every new beginning ends in heartbreak. You must stop allowing old wounds to become permanent authorities over your future. Take a deep breath now and release the pressure to control every possible outcome. Invite me into the fearful places you usually hide from everyone else. Let me teach your heart how to trust again without needing absolute certainty first. Courage does not begin when fear disappears completely. It begins when you decide fear will no longer make every decision for you. You are stronger than the disappointments you survived. You are more capable than your anxiety keeps telling you. Stop introducing yourself to life through the lens of your worst experiences. That is not your full identity. I am leading you into a season where peace will require honesty, openness, and trust. Do not resist that growth simply because it feels unfamiliar. Your future deserves a version of you that is no longer controlled by fear at every crossroads. My child, your future cannot be built from fear, and neither can the assignment I am unfolding through this message. I am calling courageous hearts in this moment to stop holding back and begin sowing into what is bringing light, healing, and truth to weary souls around the world. Many are standing at emotional crossroads tonight, and this very message is becoming the answer to prayers they whispered in secret. Every super thanks, every membership, and every gift through the PayPal link in the description becomes fuel for the fire I am spreading in this hour. Did I not tell you that whoever refreshes others will themselves be refreshed? I am breathing increase, protection, and open doors over those who respond with willing hearts instead of fearful hesitation. This is not the time to shrink back while heaven is moving powerfully across lives through this mission. Obey the stirring you feel right now. Give boldly without fear, and help send my word where broken hearts are waiting for hope. My child, for a long time you have been living in survival mode without even realizing how deeply it affected you. You learned how to keep moving while emotionally exhausted. You became skilled at functioning while your heart quietly carried more pressure than anyone around you understood. You smiled during conversations, completed responsibilities, and kept showing up for others. Yet inside yourself there was a constant heaviness you rarely spoke about honestly. Somewhere along the way, you stopped asking whether you were truly at peace and started settling for simply getting through the day. That survival mindset slowly became normal to you. You stopped dreaming boldly. You stopped expecting joy to stay. You became emotionally cautious because disappointment had already visited your life enough times to make your spirit tired. But listen carefully to me now. I never created you merely to survive your life while feeling disconnected from your own heart. Come closer and let yourself slow down for a moment. Stop rushing past your emotions every time they rise. Stop numbing your exhaustion with distractions while pretending everything is manageable. Your soul has been asking for rest, healing, and honesty for a long time now. I have heard every silent cry hidden underneath your busy routines. You keep thinking you must carry everything perfectly before allowing yourself to breathe again. But healing rarely begins through pressure. It begins when you finally stop fighting your own humanity. I know you fear slowing down because you worry everything will fall apart if you do. But constant emotional strain is already taking pieces of you little by little. You were never designed to live every day feeling emotionally cornered by stress, fear, and endless responsibility. So invite me into your tiredness instead of hiding behind forced strength. Sit with me honestly. Let yourself admit where you feel depleted. Let yourself acknowledge where your spirit no longer feels alive. There is no shame in needing restoration. There is no weakness in admitting you cannot keep carrying this much alone forever. I am teaching you something deeper in this season. I am showing you how to live from peace instead of panic. I am helping you rediscover parts of yourself that became buried beneath years of emotional survival. That process may feel unfamiliar at first because your nervous system became so accustomed to stress that calmness almost feels strange now. But stay with me through this transition. Your life is not supposed to feel like an endless emergency, my child. There is joy ahead that will not require constant struggle to maintain it. There is peace waiting for you that does not disappear every time circumstances change. Keep walking with me, and let me teach your heart how to truly live again instead of merely surviving one more day. My child, I know you have been praying for change for a long time. You asked me to open doors, remove burdens, heal your heart, and lead you into something better than the life that has been draining you. I heard every one of those prayers. But there is something I need you to understand honestly now. Some breakthroughs cannot fully enter your life while you continue resisting the steps I already placed in front of you. You keep waiting for everything around you to change first, while quietly ignoring the small acts of obedience I have been asking from your heart. You already know some of the areas where I have been speaking to you. There are habits you know are hurting your peace. There are conversations you have avoided because honesty feels uncomfortable. There are places where you continue returning emotionally even after realizing they leave your spirit exhausted. My child, do not ask me to lead you into freedom while refusing to release the things that keep pulling you backward. Come sit with me honestly for a moment. Stop treating obedience like punishment. I am not trying to control your joy. I am trying to protect your future. There are things I have asked you to release because they cannot travel with you into the next season I prepared for your life. You keep asking why certain prayers feel delayed, but sometimes the delay exists because your heart is still standing between two directions at once. Part of you wants healing while another part keeps clinging to familiar pain. I know obedience feels difficult because it often requires trust before visible results appear. You want reassurance before surrender. You want certainty before movement. But faith rarely works that way. Growth happens when you decide to trust me enough to move even while emotions still feel uncertain. That is why this season has felt so stretching for you. I have been asking you to stop building your life around comfort and start building it around peace. Take a deep breath now and stop delaying the decisions your spirit already knows need to happen. Invite me into your resistance instead of hiding behind excuses. You do not need to fix your whole life overnight, but you do need honesty. You need willingness. The breakthrough you keep asking for is not only about what I will do for you. It is also about who you are becoming while you walk with me through this process. I am not asking for perfection from you, my child. I am asking for surrender. Let me guide your next steps instead of constantly negotiating with fear. There is freedom waiting on the other side of obedience, and it is far more peaceful than the life you keep trying to hold together on your own. My child, you have spent so much time waiting for the perfect moment to begin moving forward. You keep telling yourself that once you feel stronger, calmer, more confident, or more certain, then you will finally take the next step. But while you wait to feel completely ready, your life continues standing still in places where your spirit has already outgrown the environment. I need you to understand something clearly now. Readiness is not always a feeling that arrives before movement. Many times it grows while you are already walking. You have been expecting yourself to feel fearless before making difficult decisions, but that expectation has quietly trapped you in hesitation. You analyze every possibility. You replay every risk. You imagine everything that could go wrong until fear convinces you that staying where you are is safer than trying anything new. Yet staying emotionally stuck has been hurting you more than you admit. Your heart feels tired because part of you already knows you cannot continue living the same way forever. Come closer to me now and stop measuring your future through the lens of your current emotions. Feelings change constantly. Fear speaks loudly during transition, especially when old comfort zones begin breaking apart. But fear is not always wisdom. Sometimes it is simply resistance to growth. I know uncertainty makes you uncomfortable, but you cannot build a new life while demanding guarantees about every outcome first. Look honestly at your journey. There were already seasons you survived that once terrified you completely. At the beginning, you thought you would never make it through them. Yet somehow, step by step, you kept going. I strengthened you while you moved, not before you moved. That is how growth often works, my child. So stop standing at the edge of your next season waiting for perfect confidence to suddenly appear. Invite me into your uncertainty instead. Let me guide your steps one decision at a time. You do not need the entire map tonight. You only need enough trust to take the next step I place in front of you. I know part of you fears making mistakes, but I am capable of redirecting your path even when you do not walk perfectly. What keeps exhausting you is not failure. It is constant hesitation. It is the emotional weight of knowing your spirit is ready for movement while your fear keeps pulling you backward. Take a breath now. Release the pressure to become fearless overnight. Start moving with me anyway. Your future is not waiting for a flawless version of you. It is waiting for a willing one. My child, one of the greatest burdens you carry right now is the belief that your current situation defines what your future can become. You look at your exhaustion, your finances, your age, your mistakes, your emotional wounds, and quietly decide that maybe your best opportunities have already passed you by. You keep evaluating tomorrow through the lens of today's limitations, and it has made your spirit smaller than it was ever meant to be. I need you to stop speaking over your life as though your present struggles are permanent truths. The season you are standing in now is not the final picture of your story. I know you feel tired. I know some dreams seem far away now compared to how close they once felt in your heart. But do not allow temporary conditions to become permanent conclusions inside your thinking. What you see today is only one chapter, not the entire book I am still writing with your life. Come sit with me honestly for a moment and release the pressure of trying to figure out everything through human logic alone. You keep saying things like, I don't have enough, I'm too late, I missed my chance, or nothing ever changes for me. But my child, those thoughts were born from disappointment, not truth. Pain has been narrating your future for too long, and I need you to stop giving fear that kind of authority over your heart. You have survived things that once looked impossible. There were seasons where you thought you would completely collapse emotionally, yet you are still here breathing, learning, growing, and searching for peace. Do not overlook the strength I already placed inside you. You are not as powerless as your fear keeps trying to convince you. Lift your eyes higher than your current circumstances now. Invite me into the places where hopelessness quietly settled into your thinking. Let me rebuild your expectation little by little. I am capable of creating new beginnings and